Picture this. It's 1776. America is buzzing. Colonists are fed up with British rule. But should they declare independence? It's a scary thought. Then bam! A pamphlet explodes onto the scene. Its title, Common Sense. This wasn't just any old pamphlet. This was a revolution in print. Written by a fiery Englishman named Thomas Paine, Common Sense used simple, powerful language to make the case for independence. It was like a lightning bolt, electrifying the colonies and pushing them towards freedom. Thomas Paine wasn't your typical stuffy intellectual. He was a radical thinker who wanted to reach everyday people. He knew most colonists weren't lawyers or scholars, they were farmers, blacksmiths, shopkeepers. So, he wrote Common Sense in plain, direct language that everyone could understand. Paine's goal was clear: convince Americans to break away from Britain. He wanted to show them that independence wasn't just possible, it was necessary for their well-being and future happiness. He believed in the power of reason, and he used it masterfully in his writing. One of Thomas Paine's most profound and lasting contributions to political thought was his argument about the very nature and purpose of government. In his influential pamphlet Common Sense, Paine didn't just challenge the authority of the British Crown, he challenged the very idea of what government should be and why it exists in the first place. He asked his readers to step back and consider, what is government really? Is it a force for good, or simply a structure we tolerate because we must? These questions were radical for their time, and they remain relevant even today. Paine made a clear distinction between society and government, insisting that they are not the same thing. He believed that society is a natural result of people coming together, forming bonds and working toward shared goals. Government, on the other hand, is an artificial construct, something created out of necessity, not desire. According to Paine, society is the product of our wants and our capacity for cooperation. It's about people uniting to help one another, to build communities, and to create a better life for themselves and their neighbors. In society, people find friendship, support, and a sense of belonging. It's a place where individuals can thrive by working together, pooling their resources, and sharing in each other's successes. This spirit of cooperation and mutual benefit is what makes society flourish. People help each other not because they are forced to, but because they recognize the value in working together. Whether it's neighbors lending a hand during a harvest, craftsmen collaborating in a workshop, or townsfolk coming together to solve common problems, society is built on voluntary relationships and shared interests. Government, however, is different. Paine famously called it a necessary evil. He argued that government exists not because people want it, but because they need it to protect themselves from the worst aspects of human nature, like injustice, violence, and chaos. Government's main job is to safeguard our rights, maintain order, and provide a framework for resolving disputes. But, Paine warned, government is always at risk of becoming too powerful, too complicated, or too distant from the people it's supposed to serve. If left unchecked, government can easily become a tool of oppression rather than protection. It can impose unfair laws, restrict freedoms, and serve the interests of a few at the expense of the many. That's why, Paine argued, it's so important for citizens to remain vigilant and to demand accountability from their leaders. Government should never be allowed to grow beyond what is absolutely necessary to keep society safe and just. Ultimately, Paine believed that the best governments are those that are simple, transparent, and directly accountable to the people. They should be easy to change or replace if they fail to serve the public good. In Paine's view, government is not an end in itself, but a tool that must always be shaped and controlled by the people it serves. His ideas continue to inspire debates about democracy, freedom, and the role of government in our lives. Before Common Sense rocked the colonies, who exactly was Thomas Paine? Born in England in 1737, Paine lived a pretty rough life before he ever set foot in America. He worked as a corset maker, a tax collector, even tried his hand at running a tobacco shop, and failed miserably at most of it. By his late 30s he was broke, bitter, and restless. In 1774, with nothing left to lose, he boarded a ship to America, and barely survived the voyage thanks to a serious fever. Once he hit Philadelphia, things clicked. The colonies were boiling with anger toward British rule, and Paine had a gift. He could put powerful ideas into clear, fiery language that everyday people could understand. In just a few years, he went from nobody to one of the loudest voices for revolution. Without him, the American Revolution might have stayed just a bunch of angry grumbling. Common Sense wasn't just a pamphlet, it was a bomb that exploded public opinion. Thomas Paine wasn't a polished politician, he was a fighter with a pen, and he was just getting started. Many colonists were afraid of independence. Britain was a global superpower. Could America really survive on its own? Paine argued that not only could America survive, it could thrive. He pointed out that America was already a vast and resource-rich land, capable of supporting itself. He argued that being part of the British Empire actually held America back. Unfair trade restrictions and taxes stifled American businesses and innovation. Paine believed that independence would unleash America's true potential, allowing it to trade freely with the world and chart its own destiny. Paine didn't just criticize the British government. He offered a clear and compelling alternative: immediate independence. He urged the colonies to come together, form a new government based on the principles of liberty and equality, and declare their freedom from British rule. He even outlined a possible structure for this new government, suggesting a representative democracy with a system of checks and balances to prevent tyranny. Paine's message was clear: the time for debate was over, the time for action was now. Common Sense was a publishing sensation. It spread like wildfire through the colonies, selling over 150,000 copies in just a few months. To put that in perspective, that would be like selling over 10 million copies of a book today. People read it in their homes, in taverns, and even out loud in public squares. It sparked debates and discussions in every corner of colonial society. Paine's powerful arguments helped to galvanize public opinion in favor of independence. It's no exaggeration to say that Common Sense played a pivotal role in pushing America towards revolution. Thomas Paine's Common Sense may have been written over 200 years ago, but its message still resonates today. In 1776, Paine's words sparked a revolution, inspiring ordinary people to believe in their power to shape the future. His pamphlet was not just a call to arms against tyranny, but a passionate plea for a new way of thinking, one that placed the rights and dignity of every individual at the center of society. Today, as we face new challenges and uncertainties, the spirit of common sense continues to guide us, reminding us that the principles of liberty and justice are timeless. Paine's ideas about government accountability, individual liberty, and the right of people to govern themselves are as relevant as ever. In a world where technology connects us but also divides us, and where the voices of the many can be drowned out by the power of the few, Paine's insistence on the importance of public participation and transparent leadership is a lesson we cannot afford to forget. Whether it's in the halls of government, the streets of our cities, or the digital spaces where we now gather, the call for honest, responsive leadership echoes louder than ever. Paine believed that true democracy depends on the active involvement of its citizens, and that each of us has a role to play in holding our leaders accountable. His work reminds us that we should never take our freedoms for granted, and that we always have a right to question authority and fight for a more just and equitable society. Throughout history, movements for civil rights, equality, and justice have drawn inspiration from Paine's fearless advocacy. From the abolition of slavery to the fight for women's suffrage, the echoes of common sense can be heard wherever people stand up for what is right. Paine's legacy is a reminder that progress is never guaranteed, and that each generation must renew the struggle to protect and expand the freedoms that others have fought so hard to win. So, the next time you hear someone talking about common sense, remember the legacy of Thomas Paine and his revolutionary pamphlet that helped to shape the destiny of a nation. His vision was not limited to his own time or country. It was a call to all people everywhere to think critically, to demand justice, and to believe in the possibility of a better world. As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, let us carry forward the spirit of common sense, questioning, challenging, and always striving to build a society that honors the dignity and rights of every person.